One day it's fine and next it's black. So if you want me off your back, well come on and let me know. Should I stay or should I go? Should I stay or should I go now?
All right, this is MrNotAdvice. This is the EOSE Post-Proctology Exam Roundtable. As always, this is for entertainment purposes only. So I wanted to start off with the news itself and as some background. Prior to doing this, I was an investment banker for, I was in the industry for 30 years, but I would say investment banking really 25 years. So it was interesting because every single time a company does an offering, the stock goes down. And so from our side of the table, from the underwriter side of the table, you know, we expected that. And one of the things we'd always line up would be, and it was sort of a understood agreement that the book runner or whoever is running the deal itself, the firm would be coming in with some retail support. So that's number one. Number two, there are reasons where a company is using its stock as currency. And AMC is one of those companies, I think. And there's a lot of companies like that. I don't personally see that. So with this deal, what I see is they are going to save $14 million in interest savings, which is not an efficiency savings. That goes to the bottom line. In addition, they got Cerberus to not only lower their interest rate, but they also got Cerberus to extend out to 2027. I think that's fantastic. Some concerns about the timing. You know, when we look at the stock price, so we got in here way down here, okay, and we've sold on the way up. So I went long here, okay, and got just smashed because we got the CFO news. I'm going to comment on that. Then yesterday was a really strong candle. I was really impressed with it. I woke up this morning and I went, what the hell? Last night I actually posted, I think in our Discord, it was late, that the bid was, or the off, there was a zero offer on it. So I thought, I even posted, I think it's a glitch. I'd never really seen that before. So of course we wake up to this today. Okay. So a couple things. If I'm wondering who's selling today, okay, there's a number of parties. Well, I would probably say anybody who believes that they're going to have shares in the future, they could be shorting the crap out of the stock. For example, it wouldn't be the underwriter, but maybe part of the selling group. They could do that. Any momentum funds that are algo driven would be selling. Any algo funds that are driven by percent or gaps down would be triggered. I mean, you name it. This was today, just like, and let me put this up here for you guys. This is really important to me anyway. You see on this day here, look at this right here. This is almost a 7 sigma volume spike. What did we have today? 6.2. Okay. So what I believe will happen is somewhere in this area, there's going to be a bottom. Okay. Somewhere in this area because of this huge volume spike. I would also say, and if we look at this, exhaustion, look at how big this negative reading is for MACD histogram historically. Okay. So this signals to me exhaustion. Now, what do I want to see tomorrow? Well, actually, let me go back to the reasoning and the timing of it all. I was looking at the timing relative to the inclusion into the Russell, and it would be surprising to me if there was not some consideration given to the announcement. For example, perhaps waiting till after you get included to make the announcement. I still don't think that the timing of the award to Joe for the stock was, I think that was automatic. Okay. They happened to hit at that time in the development cycle where the benchmarks were going to be scored. The board had to sign off on them, and then the board had to award and vote and award the stock. That had to happen. The selling, yes. Could I see that Joe knew ahead of time and had a reason? Yeah, I could. Do I hold that against him? No, I don't. I mean, yeah, I probably he did. Okay. At the end of the day, and I've said this before, at the end of the day, I got long, okay, all the way to hell back here at this red candle the first time, right? When you guys remember, Cerberus was a bunch of crooks, they're vulture capital. Look at all the benchmarks, they're never going to get it. The DOE loan's not going to come through. All the negativity that's surrounded, okay, at this point. So when I look at what is different between then and now, it is just, it's significant and huge. As a side note, now you understand why I like to sell in the profits, because this type of, if I held this long term, it would literally drive, I mean, I don't know if I could handle the anxiety. Okay. So going back finally, I want to get through my final opinion on the timing and all the CFO. We'll never know why the CFO left. Maybe it was because of this. Maybe he disagreed with the capital raise. Maybe there's all these, we will not know. At the end of the day, what I'm looking at is very simply this. When I went long here on this break, okay, I asked myself, is the company better today than it was then? Significantly better today than it was then. Okay, so from what we know, what are the knowns? So I look at it like, okay, they're not gonna need capital now. Joe did say he did not believe he needed capital outside of the DOE for the Pennsylvania operations. So this tells me perhaps there are orders so big that they've got to expand, maybe internationally. I don't know. We don't know any of that. I can look at the sum of the details, and I've said this in a podcast where the wind is at our back right now. Nothing has changed for me. I don't look at the stock price and go, oh my gosh, I mean, what's going on? Here, when we were doing this on the stock price, look, when we were doing this, 1 second, please. All right. Oh, son. Language. When this was going on here, right here, hey, how many people here were going, woo, we're going to go to 10, 15, 20, 30. We all do it, right? But we still have to pay attention to what price is telling us, okay? Then when this got down here, yeah, I thought this was the bounce. This is a fantastic support level. It was working. These two downs are absolutely due to outside events. But here's the point. Look at all the times outlier events have happened on the way just in the past year. Maybe the DOE will get canceled. Maybe the IRA tax credit will get canceled. The CFO got fired. Then we had the tariffs come in. How is that going to affect the business? I mean, think about it, right? Oh, and then we had the benchmarks, and then we had Cerberus, and then we had the capital markets. Think of all the outliers. That's all happened in the last 9 months. So to think it's not going to continue to happen on the way up is really not realistic. When I look at the long-term chart on this, it is a very easy view here. Watch. This thing has been going up. Every time it's made a large price move, it has come down and tested at least the 66% level. At least every single time it's doing it again. The only difference is the speed of the gains and the corrections are becoming tightened. Makes sense to me because the operational rhythm is starting to pick up. Okay. Now, what am I looking for tomorrow? Very simple. See this low? You see this low? Let's call it 440. From 440 down to 4, because $4 is where the 200-day moving average is. So from this price, and I believe today we did not. I wanted to see a dip to 450. Why? because that's where algos and bots do business. Okay? Trust me, I know. I teach this. So I wanted to see that. I am fine. We may get a deeper thrust down here. It may touch $4 on a tail and then bounce somewhere in here. Do I think we're going to have another 53 million? No, we're not going to have another 53 million share volume day. Okay. But I think we could have seen at this point selling exhaustion, quite frankly. It may go down a little bit more. It's going to take more news in order to drive this further. Or I'm missing something completely, and some of the doomsayers on Twitter are right that they're hiding something. I don't know that, so I can't go there. Okay. So what I intend to do now, I'm telling you, for those who don't know me, I got absolutely lucky yesterday selling and reducing my EOSE calls by 33%. I'm still at 14% of the total. Okay. Sometimes you just get lucky, but my goal was to protect profit. I got lucky. I just did. That's going to happen. I am thrilled with the ability. I want to share this with you. This is really, check this out. Watch this. This first number column here is today's volume. This is the open interest. So this is what was traded today. Now, this is not all buys and sell. There's not all buys. There's some sells in here. We don't know, but you get an idea. Watch what happens today. There was 31,000 volume, open interest, and it did 6,800 contracts. All of these you're going to see volume. Watch this out to the 26 Januaries. This thing did 22,000 in volume, 10,000 in volume. And then it gets more interesting out to 2027. Check this out. Open interest on the fours, 32,000. 52,000 contracts traded hands today. Look at this. 20,000 contracts in volume today on the fives alone. This is massive volume. Okay? No. So, what could it be? Well, I look to the other side, okay, and I'm looking for this one could possibly be some sort of long-term ridiculous straddle, I suppose. But some of these, there is no offsetting on the put side. Like here, there's no offset. Nothing happened today, right? 2026 is today. Here's the volume. There's no offset here. So unless I'm going to say that people were here selling on a down day, they were selling calls that were $7.50. I think not. They were being bought. All right. So this is really big volume. I'm not going to say it's massive volume, but it's really big volume. So just as you should not be at this point looking at this and saying, oh, it's going to go up forever, you should also not be saying at this point, oh, it's going to go down forever. Neither one is true. Neither one will happen. Okay. And I am, as of today, I still believe if they execute, if they can hit the revenue target, okay, and if they can hit their revenue target, I believe they will have the momentum, okay, to break through and hit $15 this year. I really do. I know it's 6 months, 7 months, 6 months, June, 7 months away. Yeah, I really do. Because what was going on all the way up to here, that momentum was building. Okay. So so I guess my final statement about this is I talk a lot about straight line extrapolation, and first of all and foremost, anytime you feel fear or whatever rising up, understand that that's immediately biased. If you're in a position now where you own the common and it's the first time you've heard me talk, I'm going to tell you something right off the bat. If you are feeling sick to your stomach, that tells you own too much. It's highly likely you'll get an opportunity at a higher price, okay, in the next 30 days to reduce, so you don't feel that. That's number one. Number two, don't straight line extrapolate. When it's going up, don't go crazy. start selling some of it. When it's going down, if you still believe in the opportunity and the potential of the company, why would anybody be crying today? One of my members, Mr. White, who happens to be our bank CEO expert, made a comment and it was really spot on. I like the look, I'll probably go out to the 27s, right? When I start adding back. I'm hosed, by the way. I own July's. By the way, I own July 7.5s. Okay. Luckily, I only scaled in half, but I own those and I'm down 90%. I don't know. I mean, so I get hurt too. Now, the good news, it's only 2% of my portfolio, and with an average minimum return of at least 50%, I can make that up. Okay. Here's one of the good things about this price coming down here. So I'm able to buy this. Yesterday with the price at 6, I had this stretch for the 7.5s. So, which I probably wouldn't have. Um, it gives me now, I can go back into those fives. Fives is a big number. Fives is a regulatory number. It's a mutual fund number. I mean, it's everything. I like the fives. One of our members also very wisely was looking at, they did the 26s, but they came down and did like these $2 you could do if you could get them for $3, right? Then really you only have 50 cents of risk in it. Okay. 2 plus 3.15, 3 is $5. The stock's at 4.51. That's how I get there. Okay. So I'm going to be looking at the fives, but Mr. White made a great point. I don't have to go out to the 7.5s anymore. I don't even have to go to the 5.5s, which is a sort of a bullshit strike. There should be 6s in here. Okay. I now get to choose those fives. So I know I'm going to be well inside of whatever target I put. I'd rather buy these than the 7.5s. And if I was going to stretch and I really, wanted to gamble, I'd be out at the 12.5s. They're just that cheap. But for that amount of money, you'd be in here. So anyway, that's a big deal. The volume on the options today, big volume. I don't know what the current short position is, so I don't know if that changed significantly or not. But okay, what I'm going to do is if you have questions, you can please ask them either with either putting them in chat or by asking them just on voice. Go for it. Or if you have comments, hey, if you're new, here's the way I run these things. If you disagree, I'm great. That's fine. As long as we're respectful. And you don't like the New York Giants or the Patriots or the Chiefs or the Broncos or the Raiders. All right, let me check chat. Any questions in chat? No? I guess, I mean, at the end of the day, I will wait for tomorrow and see what the price recovery looks like tomorrow if we're able to put in a bottom, the overall market. Oh, by the way, this back and forth on the trade agreements and the tariffs and how the market loves this. If it can get tied up in court, that's even better. So it delays the pain eventually. That's how the market's going to view it. So
Can I make a comment? Is that okay?
absolutely, sir.
Okay, thank you. No, I was watching the futures very early this morning, and then when I saw the stock down $1, my first thought was like, "What happened? This must be some really bad news."
Right.
But when I went to X, I felt so much better listening or reading to some of the professionals, and actually, I felt good about it. So,
Yes.
and I totally agree with you with what you said. You can't look at the stock price. Yeah, it got beat up bad, but you have to step back. And if you believe in what they're doing, and I take a long-term approach. And when I mean long-term, I mean 2 to 3 years.
Mm.
If this pans out the way we all will or could, the stock will be way, way higher than where it is right now. We got 3 short-term surprises. Joe had to sell for tax reasons. Shortly after that, the CFO got canned, and today they did a raise. So, you know, but you have to step back and you can accumulate. You don't panic, you don't sell, you buy when it's down. So I just wanted to mention that maybe to some of the very new people, or
Mhm.
it's, maybe somebody agrees or disagrees, but I agree with you. You can't look at the stock price. You have to look at what the company's doing. I am surprised though at this tremendous volume that,
Mhm.
yeah, there was a lot of sellers, but there was a lot of buyers too. 50 over 50 million shares. Who were the buyers? Were they retail, institutions? That's a head
Oh,
scratcher.
if it, I don't have proof at this point, but if I'm looking at this, knowing what my desire is, there's a lot of professional buying being done. Also on the deal, it's a place deal. Like I said, you could be shorting the stock today, and if you know what your price is, and it's higher, um, you're then you could be shorting the stock today and know that you can cover, is my point, without any risk. So there could be that, but I think this was from the size. Retail doesn't retail. That's a lot of option buying. When I look at it, I always go to the option contracts because that's where retail likes to play because it's a derivative and very no offense to retail, but 90% of long options expire worthless every month because retail doesn't know how to trade them because they've been taught wrong. So when you look at it, I look at that option volume like, no, this wasn't, especially leaps, right? That's a tremendous amount of volume and a tremendous amount of dollar volume. And then, of course, you can get into the notional position on it. I think if I could add one thing, sir, is yes, not only do we not the stock price, within every stock price there's two values, right? There's the intrinsic actual value, or for those macro investors, the fundamental value, and then there's that value that's added or subtracted based on expectation. Okay, and as the stock price moves up and executes, both of those values will expand. But when you get whipped like this with 2 3 things of bad news, not only will they contract, but they will flip to the other side just as aggressively. So now, if you see those fear and greed meters, I would say right now we're pretty close to like a fear, a good amount of fear in EOSE right now. And there's also this going on. Remember, when you have a gap, by the way, that also triggers automatic selling algos. So, oh yeah, hey Phoenix, this is a great comment, and somebody in a one-on-one went over this morning. The good news is this gap here is filled. I hate gaps on the upside, and I think I even said that on this day. I was like, "Yay, we get to scale, we made whatever 100% or whatever," but I hate that gap. Well, now that gap's gone. Now what do we have? Now we have a gap to the top side. That's a bull gap, right? So as it goes up, gaps act like what do they act like? Grease, right, to the direction. So what I'd really like to see is this come down here, put in a candle. I don't really care about the shape. I just look at the range. So if they only announced the Cerberus 1-year expansion, where would the stock, if they only have announced the Cerberus 1-year expansion, where would the stock be? You mean if Cerberus had just extended? Oh, I don't think that's like I look at that and I'm like, I don't think that's much of a market mover, right? If they did that, I mean, it's a feel good. You're like, okay, but the way I look at that MG is I sure as F better be taking profits long before these guys get a chance to get out. Would you add on a reversal here if we got an LCD in this? Absolutely. Absolutely. Wait, what gap are you talking about? You have a gap at 536.
Yeah, the gap.
Here. No, I see what you're saying. What I'm answering, Chrome, is what I think we're going to see tomorrow is this. It's going to come down further. Going to test the 450. Why? Because bots and algos love even numbers, so they're going to test that. And I think it'll be off of tomorrow's candle that will be triggering off of Monday. Would I take a reversal here? Absolutely. Are we going to get one where we close above this tomorrow? Not without news. I could just imagine this, by the way. No, I don't think this is going to happen. I could just imagine us waking up tomorrow morning and the president's visiting EOSE. Wouldn't that be freaking hilarious? What is your take on the current CFO or the previous CFO? I don't know. I have to trust Mr. Reyes since he was a CEO. I've never been one. I know that when I was a combo CFO, COO with anybody that was directly below me, if they weren't a fit, we got them out there as soon as possible too and paid them, and we moved along. I would have to believe that Cerberus was directly involved in this hiring. Maybe that was a referral. I don't know. But for whatever reason, it, in a good way, uh, I'd be more curious to see, as I said in Twitter post, I want to see who they hire and how long it takes. That's what I want to see. What kind of news do you think will be announced from EOSC? If I'm going to speculate, I think I think we'll start seeing some rhythm on deal orders. I think that's going to start. I think there's going to be, okay, if you look at a stock price here, let's do this. Let's look at NVIDIA. If you look at a stock price as it goes through its long-term development as a company, right? I call it the hockey stick. You have those periods of time where you're growing and growing, and then you have that inflection point, right? Where it just goes. We are somewhere here. And we're somewhere here, not only in the price, but also in the current company structure, okay? Meaning maturity, meaning what they're doing now is no longer a going concern response. It is in my perspective, positioning for growth. There is still tremendous operational risk, always, and always execution risk, no matter how good the company is, okay? But we are at this curve. From a revenue standpoint, that's what I'm talking about. I don't know how far along this curve that the market's going to need to see. And that's what the market wants to see is, okay, you said you're going to meet 150 million. You've done what, 30 whatever million in the first. Prove it. They want to see that momentum. There's going to be a breaking point where all of a sudden this hockey stick of price will start matching because it's reached an inflection point for the revenues. So what I see coming is future rhythm. And that's what I saw happening before this price action happened over the last 5 days. There was a rhythm behind what was being released. And that rhythm now is gone. And it's going to take some time to reestablish that, but not quickly. The other thing is, I generally think EOSE investors are intelligent. Now, I have a lot of people blocked, so there's probably a lot of unintelligent ones. I think there's going to be deals, Tim. I also think that there's going to be the expansion plans. We don't know where that's going to be, right? I think for the clarification, we need, there's some of this, what do you call it? Circumstantial evidence. They're running 3 shifts, so the felt orders, right? Why are they doing all this? Well, they're either the biggest meatheads in the world or they got orders, right? So, just curious, why don't you use your real name instead of, I don't use my real name for 2 reasons. Number one, I had a family member that I had to get the FBI involved because it turned out into an international internet issue. Number one. Number two, I've spent 30 years of my life as a professional being hounded and abused by the SEC and FINRA. Yeah. So I refuse to. And then there's, I guess, number 3, which is there are people out there who attack me for, I don't know why, whatever. And I just don't have time to deal with that shit. So that's why. What do you think about line 2? Can you put that in context, sir? Do I think it's going to happen? Yes. Do I think that this could be the financing? No, because Joe said he had the money for that. Do I think there's announcements coming? I think that last fall, I made sort of a joke and I said, here, Joe, if you guys want to pump the stock, I didn't use the word. I said, if you want to pulse the stock up, you're going to need 2 news releases. They did 3, and it did exactly that. These guys, I think, know what they're doing. Why? Because it's Cerberus, right? They know what they're doing here. So, any other comments or questions? Or, Now, I sound like I know what I'm talking about. Maybe I don't. Is it possible we see $4? Hmm. Yeah, but that'd be the low because that's a 200-day moving average. I don't see a technical reason for that, but I want to see what tomorrow's candle looks like. So based on today's candle, I would expect some level of retrace. This is a big move. So the first level we have to get over obviously is $5. Very easy. Just got to get over $5. There's going to be some lag selling. There's going to be people who watch the stock or pulled it up after work today and go, what the F? But I would say that a lot of the institutions are pretty well. Again, I don't know. They could be waiting for this 440 to be tested. They're seeing the same thing we see, which is this big ass pocket of air underneath this price. Okay, they see it. Because if you're think about it, guys. I'm a professional. I trade like a professional. Here's my attitude. Go down. I don't care. Why? Because I'll buy it cheaper because I think ultimately the end result is going to be $15 by the end of the year. That's how I trade. Why do I have that confidence? Well, I've been paid a lot for it, meaning I've already taken so much money out of it that, my gosh, it's well beyond free trades for me. Okay, so there is that. So I'm just making a comment that from an ecosystem standpoint, everything I do allows me to have these types of responses, right? Allows me to be positioned, right? To not freak out and do these things. What do I think of Mark Cahodes now attacking EOSE? I think he's free to attack whatever he wants to attack, and I think I attack beyond, and but I primarily attack what I think is poor performance by management, and he obviously has his reasons, and that's fine. I mean, look, the guy's not a dummy. He figured out Silicon Valley Bank. You know, we need an analyst take tomorrow on the financing news. I think you got some, didn't we already? Let me see. Yeah, we'll probably get out of Stiefel, by the way. Oh, did he? Yeah, you know what? I don't know. I block, as you guys, some of you know, I just block everyone. I don't care. Yeah, there's somebody in the room that sends them screenshots. That's okay. I don't care. He can join. Look, I'd be happy. You want to have a discussion about it? Okay, let's. It's all. If the intent is to have a dialogue where the intent is to sharpen one another and try to arrive at truth, right? Great. Other than that, I don't really have time for it. So it's a shame. I don't know. I've never talked to the guy personally. I've exchanged maybe 3 friendly private DMs with him. This was a year and a half ago. That's it. When do you think they'll announce new orders? Yeah. MG, I wish I had the answer to that question. I would say I would not be surprised if they don't announce any new orders until we get into the third quarter. I just from a feeling standpoint, just looking at but I don't know. Look, these guys are smart enough. I think they're smart enough that they could be sandbagging news right now for all we know. They could be they get the bad news out of the way, right? The stocks gets driven down. They price the deal, and the people in the deal immediately make money because the stock goes up as they're sandbagging news. Yeah, they're allowed to do that to a degree. Could I see them doing it? Sure. But in order for me to take it beyond a possible outcome and move it towards a more probable outcome, I would need significant data. I don't have that yet. Just like I would need more significant data for somebody to convince me why this stock will trade below $4 for more than a day. So yeah, I wish I knew. If I knew that, can you imagine? Probably people wouldn't hate me as much. Yes. Any other questions or comments? Look, for those of you just visiting today, at the end of the day, I will plug my Discord. It's free. You come in. It's a great group of people. They're intelligent. We don't celebrate losses, and we're trying to make one another better. And we are really. It's like having, a couple hundred active. Well, we got probably 100 active members because I keep kicking people out. We've actually kicked out over 1,100, 1,200 people that are inactive. So I want active members. Okay. But it's a great group of people. And as long as you post something once every, 2-3 weeks, you don't get kicked out. So, because sometimes I think one of the most dangerous things to do, guys, is, and girls, is to trade by yourself and then use yourself as your own sounding board. So if you have the intellectual integrity to be able to look in the mirror and say, you know, sometimes I get things wrong, you should surround yourself with other people that also view life that way, because then you're going to increase your probability of not getting things wrong, which is the first step to trading profitably. So that would be my not advice for all of you. So again, if any other questions, any other comments, again, I didn't want this to be a speech. It was, I truly meant open forum, but I know I talk a lot. So thank you very much for coming, guys. I appreciate it. I will do a recording. I'll put this on later. It'll be on YouTube.
They ain't got no muscle, no hustle, no backbone. I stand alone, not tripping, just saying I'm different. Ain't hanging on to the coattails of the next man. Passport in my left hand, thinking that you are next. Heck, hope you ain't holding your breath, man, cause I'm out here, I'm hungry. I don't play around, trust me. Ain't had as much drive since my Honda Civic got rusty, and my girl said that she loved me. It's funny, just thinking back, study hard for that 9 to 5, like I thought that I should be good with that. It was dreaming, still dreaming. Spotlight on me like Willie Beeman.